Hello my friends and welcome back to my channel. My name is Tiffany and today we've got another Sunday reset for you. We're going to be doing some super deep cleaning here of my oven and my stove top. I've got some cool new gadgets to try and we're also going to be doing some cooking. So hopefully you are here for all of that. Let's go ahead and get started. As I mentioned, we're going to go ahead and get started by deep cleaning my stove and my oven. I went ahead and took off all of the grates and I sprayed it down with the Method Degreaser cleaner. I love this stuff. You do need to let it sit for a few minutes so it can kind of do its job. So while that's working, I'm just using a little bit of the Wyman stainless steel cleaner to clean off this upper part up here. It just gets really dirty. I do a lot of cooking here at this stove, and so it desperately needs some TLC. I'm working on deep cleaning my stove and oven today because we are rapidly approaching the Burr months, September, October, November, and December, and I need to get things ready for Thanksgiving. I know that seems so far away, and it is. Do not get me wrong, but if I don't stay on top of my oven, it very quickly falls apart. So I'm trying very hard to keep it clean and orderly so that way I'm not having to do a ton of that as we get closer to the holiday season. So I'm just using this little scrubber brush here that I picked up at Home Goods. I love to buy these there. They're really affordable and they're great for things like this that just need a little extra scrubbing, but you don't want to use the same sponge you use on your dishes. And I'm sorry the camera is shaking. I don't know why it was doing this. I didn't realize it until I was editing it. So I'm really sorry about that. But I'm also using a black polishing cloth that I get on Amazon. I love these things. I use them literally on everything. I've purchased 3 different packages, so I have a ton of them. But they're great for drying your dishes. They're great for, just this, wiping things off. They just make everything look really clean and polished. So I'm just wiping everything down, giving it a good scrub. And then we're also going to take some time now to keep it a little bit cleaner. I found this stove protector on Amazon and I thought it would be a good way to just make my life a little bit easier when it comes time to clean the stove. I really dislike cleaning the stove. This is one of my least favorite chores, and using a protector like this I feel is going to make it a little bit easier because I can just take this off, put it in the sink, rinse it off really quickly, dry it off and stick it back on instead of having to do all of this scrubbing. That is my thought process anyway. So you just unroll it and stick it down on your stove and you can't even see it. It like blends right in and it's perfect. So everything that sticks to it, it's like a nice non-stick material. So everything that you're cooking, it just stays on there and you can just wipe it off. So I've had it now for about a week and I actually really like it. So again, I'll link it for you down below. It is pretty affordable. It was less than $30, so a little bit of an investment, but I feel like the time and energy that it's going to save me here on the stove is going to be invaluable. I guess it all depends on what you're into, but I really am glad that I found this and hopefully it continues to serve me well. Now I'm just taking a second to scrub down my grates a little bit. They really weren't that bad. I've recently done this, but it gets really yucky. So I just try to stay on top of it a little bit more. When I'm feeling like, okay, I'm going to tackle this project, I just try to do it all because it's going to be a long time until I'm feeling like tackling this project again. I just dislike it so much, but that's okay. I usually will put these here in the sink and soak them, but they really didn't need that much. And then I'm just using some Barkeeper's Friend to rub out the scuffs that the grates put down there at the bottom of my porcelain sink. So really easy. That stuff takes everything off. Have that in your house at all times, the Barkeeper's Friend. Anytime something colors or discolors my countertop, I use that to get it off and it's very helpful. So I'm just going to go ahead and put everything back onto the stove and that's going to be done and ready, and we'll move on to the next part of the stove. Next up, I'm going to work on the knobs area here. This part gets a lot of spray when I'm cooking, and it was only when I first moved into this house that I realized you could take these knobs off and clean this. Before, I used to try to clean around the knobs and clean the knobs while they were on the oven. It was just a big hot mess. This is just way easier, and I'm surprised it took me that long to realize I could do this. But again, I'm just using that Wyman stainless steel cleaner. I pick this up at TJ Maxx or Home Goods, usually for about $3.99. I'll link it for you down below if it's easier that way, or if you don't have one of those stores nearby. But this stuff is the best. I love it. I know everybody finds their cleaning products that work for them, and this is one of those that I feel always does the job. I clean my entire stove front and oven front with this, the glass and everything, and it just does a really great job. This is something I do several times throughout the week just because it gets so dirty. I don't always clean the knobs, but I'll take them off and just give it a really fast wipe down. So we're going to get those back on, and then we'll work on the front of the stove here. Like I said, I just use the same cleaner, that same polishing cloth on everything, and it does a really, really good job. It's time to bring out the big guns. We're going to be using this Eve steamer here to clean the oven. I have found this to be the most easy and time efficient way to clean my oven. I really dislike cleaning the oven, you guys, but it's really important that I do it because stuff gets down there and then it just burns every time you use the oven. But this steamer is really, really helpful. This is not sponsored. My husband purchased this last summer, I believe, when we had a mouse in the van and he needed to deep clean the entire van. He bought this steamer to do just that, and I have now used it on so many different areas. I use it in the sinks if I want to give them a really good deep clean, the shower, but my favorite place to use it is here in the oven. It just makes things so much easier. So I'm starting off on the door here. I just sprayed a little bit more of that Method degreaser, and I'm going to give this a little scrub with that scrub brush there. I don't use this scrub brush on our dishes. This is just literally for cleaning, but I feel like it does a really good job. And I'm just going to scrub everything down. It didn't do as good of a job as like an easy off, but I had used all the easy off on a furniture makeover, so I definitely need to get some more of that. But I'm just going to use the steamer here to just kind of wipe it down, loosen things up, and it really did a great job. So you just have to be careful because it definitely puts water in a lot of places. So I'm grabbing a fresh and clean polishing cloth, and then I'm just going to wipe it down. It's not perfect. It's definitely, got some burn stains and it's well loved, but it definitely looks a heck of a lot better than it did. Moving to the inside here, again, I had sprayed the degreaser and let it sit for a little while, And now I'm just using that steamer to loosen up any burnt food that's down on the bottom. And this is just doing a fantastic job. It is taking out all of the elbow work and elbow grease that you would have to put in. And I made sure to do the sides and everything. It just is such a great tool. I love this thing. It's all about working smarter, not harder, right? So steaming the heck out of it, loosening up any of that food. I'm now going to wipe it down, and it was like new. You are going to see here in just a minute that there is this like weird white stain down on the bottom. And that is because I sprayed some Easy Off on the inside right there. You can see it on the inside here. I sprayed some Easy Off before it was fully cool, and it left a complete stain right there. So not awesome, but it's important to just know that that's how that happened, so you don't do it yourself. The last thing I'm going to do is take a second to scrub down our grates for inside the oven. This is something I've never done since we've lived in the house, and we've been here for almost 2 years. And it really was not bad, to be honest with you. It just was a little bit like dirty and had a little bit of crusties on there, but it really was not bad at all. So this was quick and easy. I just rinsed them off real fast, scrubbed them down, and then I dried them and put them back in. What I will say, and this is embarrassing to say, and I did not film it, was that I was having the hardest time putting these back in and figuring out like how they were supposed to go in and in what direction. So if you are finding it difficult to figure out how to put these back in, just know that the curved side is supposed to go in first and goes towards the back. And then those little grooves at the front are what prevent you from pushing them in too far. So I literally had to look up a picture of what they looked like inside the oven, because I'm a really smart person, you guys, but let's not say that. I don't know that I'm a really smart person, but I feel like I'm pretty smart, and I could not for the life of me figure out how to put these back in, and that is embarrassing. So, it happens. But here's a look at the stove. Like I said, it's not perfect, but the oven. It's definitely not perfect, but it looks a heck of a lot better than it did before. I'm also going to do another one of my least favorite chores, and that is taking a second here to wipe down and dust off my pendants. These are from Amazon as well. I love these pendants. They give me like total cafe vibes. I don't even know how to describe how much I love these. They were extremely affordable. I want to say I paid somewhere around $80 for these things each, but they're huge. Like, I could probably, if I put it next to my head, like they're bigger than my head. They're really big, but they look really nice. And when they're turned off like this, they just kind of blend into the kitchen. So I think that's why I love them so much. But when they're off, you can't ever tell really how dusty they are. When you turn them on, you're like, oh my God, Tiffany, you should really dust those. And because Danny and I are short, we don't really notice, like they're kind of above us, but anybody who's normal height and above, for sure can see all of that. So I'm just using some glass cleaner here to wipe these things down. But again, I love them. I think they're absolutely beautiful. I'll link them for you down below if you are in the market for some pendant lights. But like I said, they're really affordable. You just got to be willing to clean them. Any kind of glass pendant like that, you just have to be willing to clean them down. I'm going to take a second now to wipe down all of the counters, and then we're going to be done deep cleaning the kitchen, and then it's going to be time to mess it up again, and we're going to get some cooking done. I mentioned, now that the kitchen is nice and spotless, let's dirty it up, right? What better way to utilize your home than to mess it up so you can do it all over again? I'm going to take a second here to sharpen my knife before I get started cooking. I've got this really awesome little knife sharpener. It's super easy to use, and you just kind of hold it here on the counter and slide your knife through it a couple of times in each one. It even has a spot to sharpen your kitchen scissors. It's really great. We're going to start off by using these little potatoes from the Little Potato Company. My family is obsessed with these. I buy them every single week and find some way to use them. They're really, really great for roasting. I just cook them in my air fryer and it goes really quickly. So for tonight, I was making Marry Me chicken for my family, or at least my version of Marry Me chicken. Really, you can just call it like sun-dried tomato chicken. I do it a little bit differently. We make ours over potatoes instead of over pasta. You can do it over pasta, and I've done that before if I'm making it for a crowd, but for my family, we're going to do potatoes. I just think it's really good, and you roast them up, give them a little bit of some crunch to them, lots and lots of seasoning. So I am seasoning mine with some avocado oil, some fresh kosher salt, and then some garlic powder, onion powder, and this delicious seasoning from Penzeys called Northwoods. It's got some rosemary, as well as some paprika and some chipotle. It's delicious. So putting lots and lots of a liberal seasoning on here, including some fresh cracked pepper. And I'm going to cook these. I'm actually going to do 2 bags, but I'm going to do 1 bag at a time, so that way they get nice and crispy. I'm using my air fryer here. This is from Walmart. If you guys have not invested in an air fryer yet, this is the one to get. I love it. It's a great size. It's incredibly affordable. It's less than $100, and it is so, I mean, we use this thing every single day. I don't have appliances just chilling on my counter because there's not a lot that we use all the time, except for this little black fan that I've been loving. But we use that air fryer every single day for either cooking something or reheating something. So I would highly, highly, highly recommend it. I'm going to take some thinly cut chicken breasts now and season these up. I'm using, again, fresh kosher salt, cracked black pepper, no, that's not Italian seasoning. That was onion powder, garlic powder, and that is it. That's all I'm going to use on these because we're going to make a sauce to go over them. But you want to make sure that you season your chicken. Chicken is really bland, and if you're not seasoning it, not giving it a good sauce, it can get really, really old and your family could really not enjoy it. But chicken is my favorite protein of choice if I'm not making seafood. I feel like it's the lightest and it goes really great with most everything. So just giving this a good little season, and then we're going to come over to the stove. We're going to use a little bit more avocado oil, and then we're going to dredge the chicken in a little bit of flour, just a little, and cook that up until it's brown on all sides. So I am using a caraway pan here. I am going to be 100% honest with you. I don't love them. I'm actually in the market for new pots and pans. I have put in my request to my family for Christmas. So I'm, utilizing them for now. I won't get rid of them. I'll definitely keep them for sauces and things like that. But for jobs like this, browning the chicken, it's definitely not my favorite tool. And because I cook at a high heat so that I can get that good sear and everything on the chicken, it definitely has discolored the bottom of my pans, but it is what it is. Like I said, I'm on the hunt for something different. So they're fine for now, but just going to go ahead and cook these until they're nice and brown. I cooked all the chicken. Once it was done, I'm going to start with a little bit of butter here. I don't know, maybe a tablespoon or so. And I'm just going to take a minute to kind of deglaze the bottom of the pan. I keep all of those little crispy edges from the chicken. That's what's going to help thicken up your sauce. And then I'm using pre-minced garlic. I don't always do this, but I was in a little bit of a hurry tonight. So I probably put like 2 heaping tablespoons in there. And then I'm going to put a little bit of cooking wine, maybe about a cup or so of cooking wine, and maybe about half a cup. into the bottom of this pan, again, just to help deglaze everything. And any kind of Italian-based sauce, I use cooking wine always because it just adds such a depth of flavor into your food. It's not going to add any alcohol. You're going to cook all of that off, but it just really adds such yummy flavor. I keep it in my pantry all the time. I probably added about another half a cup of chicken broth, and then maybe about a cup of heavy cream. This is all eyeballed. I really don't know 100%. I'm also going to add in some thyme, as well as a little bit of oregano and some red chili flakes. And we're going to go ahead and give that a good stir, and it's smelling fantastic. This is when the family starts to pop into the kitchen and say, "What's for dinner?" because they can smell it. Make sure you use a good amount of kosher salt, again, some freshly cracked pepper, and we're going to let that kind of simmer and thicken up. And it'll thicken a little. It's not going to thicken a ton, but once you put that chicken back in there, it will thicken as well. So we're also going to add in some sun-dried tomatoes. So this is going to be up to you and your taste. My family loves the flavor, but they don't always love the tomato. I love the tomato, so I pretty much eat all of those. Like, my entire family is not, super keen on the actual sun-dried tomato, but I am. So going to add in about a half a cup or so of freshly grated Parmesan cheese, and we're going to let that thicken up a little bit, put our chicken back in, and dinner is ready to go. Like I said, we serve this over potatoes, and it is absolutely delicious, so give it a try. Thank you guys so much for spending today with me. I hope you enjoyed this video, got some cleaning motivation and a little bit of cooking motivation. And if you're not subscribed, I'd love for you to subscribe and come back for more. And I will see you guys in the next one. Have a fabulous week, my friends. See you soon.